And Edward Bawa is in the studio. Thanks for joining me, Eddie.
Thank you for having me.
All right, he's a member of parliament for Bongo. And we have to start the discussions. And we know that a Kumasi court has denied bail to 8 persons arrested for storming the facility last Thursday and freeing 13 members of the militant group Delta Force. And the 30 members of the group were told affiliated to the New Patriotic Party had been standing trial for attacking a security coordinator for the Ashanti region. What do you say about the latest of the case, as far as we're concerned?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers, particularly people from my constituency. I think that basically is in my own opinion, and I think that is the opinion of all Ghanaians, that the first responsibility of every government is to maintain law and order, is to guarantee the safety of its citizens. That's the first responsibility that you have to do. I think that over the past few months, particularly after the 7th of January, we have seen different levels of indiscipline. We have seen different levels of criminal acts, in my opinion, people vandalizing areas, with a government that seems to be impotent in dealing with those things. We have a situation where, from day one, it started with seizures of cars, and people thought that it was because they were protecting state properties. And you remember that was what Freddie Blaze said, that they had a responsibility to protect state property. It moved from there to taking over state institutions like Bawa, National Health Insurance. It came to a point that even private citizens had their cars seized, people who were not in any way associated with government. It came to the takeover of the Kintampo waterfalls. And even though I do not have a direct correlation between that and disaster, but at least at the time the disaster occurred, we had, I don't know which version. You know, now they have all the regions, they have their vigilante groups. You have the Kandahar, you have what, depending on the region in which you are, there's a name to it, that's the various units. And now you have a president who comes to parliament on his State of Nation address, makes a statement condemning the lawlessness. And the next paragraph on that same thing, he tries to justify it by talking about the fact that he thinks that maybe it's as a result of political equalization. The minority leader, as part of his response to his State of the Nation's address, told him that he believes that he is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, but not the commander-in-chief of the Invisible and Delta Forces. Now, the man has given 3 different statements saying that he will not tolerate such vigilante groups, but all have fallen into deaf ears. So I was not surprised that they decided to scale up their activities to what they did. What they did with the regional security coordinator, and subsequently what they did in the courthouse, for me was disgraceful. And I'm not surprised that you have organizations like the United Nations itself issuing statements to this effect. As to what the court will do, I believe that that is for everybody to know, because this is basically a crime. For you to go in, take free criminals who are standing trial with that sort of impunity, then you have state organizations there looking helpless. You have leading members of a political party justifying that, and to a very large extent now even going after the National Security Minister for daring to come out to condemn it. For me, I think we're in trying times. But the danger is that we should begin to know that these things can change into something else. I've always indicated, if you rear a monster to chew your enemies, and they finish chewing their enemies, they'll come after you yourself. These groups, if you listen to all the conversations they have given, every time, there's always this conversation that seems to suggest that His Excellency the President had promised them X or Y when he was in opposition. The same president who was condemning acts of violence before the elections suddenly has lost his voice. But you know the people who surprised me most? People like Osofo Mante, what's his name again? Bishop Mante, the one who said he could use 3 months to solve Dumso. Exhibit.
Who is that? You mean the former?
That past, is it a bishop, Presbyterian bishop?
The former moderator
who said that,
Professor Mante.
Professor Mante, who said that if they give him 3 months, he will solve Dumso. That was a very clear demonstration of ignorance. But that being said, I felt that in these situations, as pastors, has his pulpit suddenly vanished?
But we've had the Christian Council of Ghana come out concretely.
I've not mentioned Christian Council.
Okay.
I've mentioned individuals, and they have names. It is for the basis of our various activities that everybody, when you are born, you are given a name. And I'm mentioning his name as in particular, because he's supposed to be a man of God. And if at the end of the day you have situations where there's lawlessness, my brother, your safety and my safety are not guaranteed under this government. At least from what we have seen so far. The first 100 days of this current government, our safety is not guaranteed. Because if for anything, the place everybody is always scared of is the courtroom. Because you know the judge is the only one who can determine whether you live or you die. Under this earth, if you have a country that is governed by law and order, it's only the judge who can say, Roland, today you are going to die.
Well, it depends on the crime you commit.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. Irrespective of whatever crime you commit, it is only the judge who can do that. So for the people to have that courage, to storm a courtroom.
But you're not saying that in any way, that because these groups, especially the Delta Force said to be affiliated to the MPP, the actions were instigated or perhaps also directed by the leadership of the party. I don't think that's what...
My brother, do you think the Delta Force would have had the nerves to go into the courtroom if it was under another government?
Well, for every institution and its affiliates,
I've just said that
we have miscreants, don't we?
No, the point I've just made.
Don't you think we could have deviants among such affiliated groups to the party?
As to whether they are deviants or not, the most important thing is that you have a group that has consistently behaved in a particular way. A group that has not been called to order. A group that the government in itself is not capable of dealing with.
Well, the president at a retreat at Peduase is giving Ghanaians the confidence that his government intends to operate under the rule of law, and so gives the confidence to the ordinary Ghanaian that the activities of these vigilante groups will be nipped in the bud. Do you know that what the president is doing is making mockery of himself? Okay. And I'll tell you why. I don't think the president is making mockery of himself. Let me give you why. No, wait. Let's watch him, and then after that you can make a comment.
So we're leaving here in very high spirits. We know the difficulties that have emerged with the events in Kumasi, but we believe that those events are systematically being brought under control in the way that they should be. And reassuring the nation that the commitment that we made, that we're going to serve Ghana under conditions of the rule of law. We're not wavering in that commitment. And we believe that the overwhelming majority of the Ghanaian people support us in that commitment. So I want to thank you very much for taking the effort and the trouble to climb this long hill, come and meet with me here. I believe these retreats are going to be a normal and regular feature of my government, because collectively we are determined to deliver. We want the Ghanaian people to know that all those things that we said we were going to do, which we have begun to do, we are determined to do.
And comments by the president were made at a press conference during the retreat with his ministers and other appointees at Peduase. And, well, we have the regional secretary for Ashanti for the MPP, Samuel Sampine. Well, Sampine is on the line. A very good morning to you, Mr. Sampine.
Yeah, hello, good morning. It seems your line is a little faint.
Oh, then we'll get back to you. But Mr. Bawa, what do you make of the president's speech in himself?
Look, let me tell you why I made the statement. The statement I made was clearly based on the fact that the president stood on the floor of the National Assembly to condemn lawlessness and promised that he was going to ensure that there's security and everything. That didn't help. He went to Kumasi. Remember his visit to Ashanti region. He made that statement again. Just after his statement in Ashanti region, the people stormed the court. And now this is the third one. Give me any reason to have confidence in the latest assurance that the president.
And the president is
I am
commander in
telling
chief
you
of
that.
the Ghana.
I am telling you that. Was he not the president when he made that statement on the floor of the parliament? Was he not the president when he went to Ashanti region and did that, and the people still defied him and went to court and made? And he's still not the president. So it's the same person who is the common denominator in the three statements.
Okay, I have Sampine. And Sampine is the regional secretary for the MPP for Ashanti. Good morning to you, Sampine.
Good morning, Rolly.
Well, what the president said, his critics say his words could not be trusted anymore. It's not the first time he's given assurances to the ordinary Ghanaian that the activities of the MPP-affiliated Delta Force and other vigilante groups of the party would not be nipped in the bud.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rolly. And let me say good morning to your viewers and good morning to Bawa, the propaganda is. You see, I knew he was going to go on that tangent. The last group of people who should be attacking the MPP, speaking this manner, the president, or that should be the NTC. I don't want to do any equalization, but I believe they don't have the moral right to say some of these things. As much as we all understand that yes, we should move forward and we should look at how to solve these problems. The president is somebody that can be trusted. Really, the laws of the nation is firm on criminality, that people should not steal from us. But how many times don't we get people stealing? All these borders on the fact that we have individual different. Somebody will say something, 10 people will abide by it, that we have one person to create it. And that's the nature of people. And the president says something, and people also, a group of people will go wayward. That is a little matter of itself altogether. But you know, the president's admonitions and his talk to the people have been accepted by all. When you remember, just after taking over, against the wishes of some of our people were not happy that the president came to tell them not to do anything that will mar the peace of the nation by seizing toilets and all that. So all these matters have stopped unless you get people who will not be truthful enough to tell the world that no more of such things. But on this particular instance, especially the last one at the court, was a spontaneous thing about the people not understanding the legal processes and taking the law into their own hands. And that's a matter of itself altogether. We need to respect the president's talk and everything and his assurance to the nation. And so far, don't let us create the impression that the whole country is in some turmoil of some situation that's uncontrollable. It is not so. We're just overplaying it, making hyperbolic.
While you seem to,
of this matter.
Mr. Sampine, while you seem to downplay perhaps the actions of these members of the Delta Force, how do you feel about two UN special representatives? We have the special representative of the Secretary General and the head of the UN Office for West Africa and Sahel, Mohammed Ibn Chambers, and the national coordinator of the UN system in Ghana, all criticizing and condemning the act and asking government to do a lot more than it is doing.
Yeah, really, I was the first person when this matter happened. The president really attacked the National Security Coordinator, the RCC, to publicly come out with a statement to condemn action. The party's hierarchy, from the president to the last person at the party's hierarchy, leaders have condemned the action. Yes, we all respect the fact that, yes, these guys did something for us and we appreciate it. But if they go wrong, we need to talk about it. If you have kids at home and they go wrong, you don't need to tell the world that because they are your kids, that there's nothing wrong with it. And we condemn it greatly. So if the United States and others envoys are talking about it, yes, we appreciate that fact. And that's why the president yesterday firmly stated that he will make sure that he clamp down on some of these activities.
Perhaps the UN systems and their representatives are also concerned because consistently, and this being the third, the president had given the assurances, warned these individuals or these vigilante groups, and his concerns and warnings seem to go unheeded.
Really, if we look at it from that angle, it seems, and I'll get back to what I said, that we exaggerating it too much. This is the same group, the first action that led to the second action. It's not a separate action that something is happening in Kumasi, and you have another group doing that in Tamale, a third group in Bolgatanga, a fifth group in Ho, and all that. It's been this same group that went on that rampage or whatever action that was incorrect, and the spontaneous reaction of the same guys when the supporters of the guys who were taken to the court at the courtroom because they never understood the process. So let's not make it look that bad. I believe the situation is not so, but everybody has the concern. Yes, that if things are not going well, if things are that bad, shouldn't voice about. That's why I'll keep on saying, yes, we all have, as a nation, as a people, we have. It's our duty to make sure that some of these things are in the past, and that we need not overplay.
Okay, so just be on the line for me. And now your response to him, because it seems to be you, the critics of the president and government, seem to be politicking with the subject. That's what he seemed to suggest.
Well, what is the politics of this? Didn't it happen that you had the Delta Force, after they had arrested those 13 persons and they were on trial, the Delta Force went and then freed those people? Didn't it happen? Didn't it happen that the Kandahar boys went to the Tamale Teaching Hospital and locked out the CEO of the hospital? Or is it that things did not happen in Eastern Region? Remember the Eastern Region story? So when he talks about the fact that people are exaggerating it, all we are doing is recounting what has happened in this country within the first 100 days of His Excellency the President's government. That's the point we are making. And until we acknowledge the fact that as a country, we are in chaos, we are in a state of chaos, we are in a country where your security cannot be guaranteed, you are in a country where people can take the law into their own hands, you are in a country where the president and his government are impotent in dealing with these crimes, until we acknowledge that we won't find solutions to them. So if you have a situation where Mr. Sampan, who is my very good friend, so I was not surprised when he made his opening statement, he took a swipe at me. But that being said, I think that people like Mr. Sampan, who's a very gentleman, I mean, if you've met him before, he's a gentleman. And I know he condemns these things. But openly, he will not admit that they seem to be helpless in these situations, particularly when you were handed over, I mean, the government of the previous government handed over to you a peaceful and a stable country. Then you suddenly make the country look so ungovernable. And particularly, these are people who seem to think that they have the right to do what they are doing.
Well, Mr. Sampang, are they uncontrollable? These groups that are affiliated to your political party?
Really, that's not true. That's not true. Since this matter broke, apart from the second time that they went to court and there were issues with them not understanding the process, we've not seen anything. I spoke with them personally, with the leadership, I counseled them, told them on the right things to do, and they accepted it. And they've been calm till this broke up. And after that, too, they've been so calm within the region and across the country. But you see, I usually tell you that I don't want to do equalization, but at times we need to make reference to history so that to guide us in some of our utterances and some of the discourse that we go through. And I said the NDC should be the last group. Really, when in 2009 the NDC came to power, there were these guys in Tamale, Yahuda Gumda, and the group that people accused them of murdering some NDC supporters. Azoka, Sofa Azoka, then the vice regional chairman of the party, with their regional chairman, then stormed the Tamale High Court, destroyed property there, and warned the judge sitting on the case to remand the guys who actually the judge obliged and remanded them for several years until.
So you are equalizing.
No, I'm not equalizing.
So these vigilante groups affiliated to the MPP are equalizing.
Rolly, I'm not equalizing. When he paints the impression or when he paints the picture as if they're so chaotic, that's what I'm driving at. These matters happen. People who burned down houses when Harun Idrissa and the rest were not given appointments all across the country. The country never went haywire. There wasn't chaotic situation. It was controlled. So don't let us create the impression to the world. It is about utterances that is making people apprehensive. But if you look at it properly, and we want to talk about it as a group, but not politicizing it, that is where we're going to have solutions to it. So I'm drawing the attention. I'm not equalizing. I'm drawing the attention to certain incidents, grievous ones, bigger than what is happening now, that happened within their time, that did not take the country to the gallows. But rather, we need to look at it, how all of us will sit together as a people and make sure that it never happens. That is the bottom line of it, but not making the paint and getting political capital out of all the incidents. All
right, Sampine, thank you very much. And Sampine is the regional secretary of the MPP, and I know that Eddie would want to respond to this, but just the last few hours, we heard and also reported of an incident or a fire outbreak at the Aveno warehouse of the Ashform Limited. And the warehouse was razed down. The fire, which started at about 8:45 Monday evening, burnt down property running into several hundreds of Ghana cedis, if not thousands of Ghana cedis. Patricia Gasu is on the ground now and is joining us with the latest. Good morning to you, Patricia. What can you tell us? How is the ground like? Hello, Patricia.
Hello, Roland. I'm currently at Ashform, and as I was told, the curing room was rather razed down by fire yesterday. And I have the marketing communications manager here with me, Mr. Yao Ampim Dako. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, madam.
Were you here yesterday when the incident happened?
Yes, immediately we had a fire outbreak. We all rushed down here, to help with trying to put it down in various ways, yeah.
Okay, so what caused it?
It's at this stage, it's really difficult to ascertain. So the fire service, which is the main actor of this, are in charge of it, and they have even accorded the place and they have started the investigations. As at now, it will be really, really difficult to come out with what exactly happened, on the day. Yeah.
So has the National Fire Service said anything to you so far?
No, so far, no. Last night, we left here late this morning, when they left one of their, cars here just to see to it that, after fire, nothing comes up. But all they said to us that the investigation is going to carry on early morning. And in fact, just as we're speaking, they've started, trying to, ascertain what exactly, occurred. And very soon, as I indicated to you earlier on, we're going to have our press conference, and whatever comes out there, we will let the public know.
Okay, so I can see the workers all over. I believe my cameraman can pan and then take a shot of them. Is the same affected? What's going to happen to them?
No, they are not affected at all. Apparently, we are working full-time today. It shows you that the fire came, but just a smaller section of unit of the factory that, was affected. So the bulk of the factory, when you look at the production line, when you look at all the other departments where the foam mattresses are made, everywhere is intact. And we are starting work. You can see, rather they are enthusiastic, because it would have been the other story if everything had been gutted down.
Okay, so can you put an amount to what have been destroyed so far?
Well, it is again, I would want to also say that it is still a difficult thing to do now. But we can say this, that fire happened this way, and then there are three, I can say areas that you can look at. We look at the product that is burnt off, which we're going to look at how much by the time of the investigation. We look at the factory, because some part of the factory has been raised down. And then we look at even the opportunity cost, because it definitely is going to distort a section of our production. And then also you see in the mindset of people, they might think that, well, fire came out, Ashform is gone down, and then we are not going to, they might find it even, believing to come and do business with us. But us as a company, we are assuring them, and it is evident that we are working. It is evident that we have our production, on course. We have our distribution ready. So anybody who has any supplies will be supplied today and the days ahead.
Okay, so tell me about the curing room.
Well, for me, if you look at the processes, it doesn't just go boom and it's done. It takes a little bit of time. You need to go through quality control. You need to assess, the various densities that have been produced. So once the block comes out from the production line, we keep it in a place. We call it's more of a farm, a foam farm, where we cure the foam. Curing means that we need to test it. We need to see how, how best we have come up with the densities, and then before we can go to the other sessions for us to, produce the mattresses that we sleep on. It goes through the process. The process is really well tailored, yeah.
So before I speak to some of the workers, do you suspect any foul play?
No, we cannot say. You can't say. I mean, we are all, after work, we have all left for our various homes, and then we get a sign we have to move here. So we cannot, it's too early to come out. We can leave it to the fire experts, to do that.
Okay, I want to speak to some of the workers, because it looks like they all came in today to hear the news.
No, that's not correct. Apparently last night or into the morning, some even slept here. It shows. You see, this company, there's one thing that I want the whole public to also know, that this company has an exciting, workforce. And when I say exciting workforce, you could see that the moment there was, fire outbreak, you could see most of them, when you look at them, they came in here and they came to help, this dragging days, pulling days, enthusiastically. Because this is what, if we have shabby treatment, if we have anything to, worry about, you wouldn't find them. So most of them stayed up until this morning. Okay, so I left here about 3 a.m. and by the time I was leaving, there were some guys here. You can see them, who will now have to be excused to go home and probably shower and come freshen up and come back.
So how long did it take the fire service personnel to?
Approximately 2 hours it was off. And here I would also want to commend the fire, brigade. I think the fire service were very professional, at their job. Because the moment the fire was signed and they rushed in here, you can see the attendants, sitting out there throughout the night. And I think that they did a marvelous work. The police were here. The police was here, the ambulance, team was also here, and together, we were able to put everything under control. And unlike previous where there's looting, last night we didn't see anything of the sort. And I highly want to commend and NADMO. Yes, NADMO was here throughout. The regional, NADMO director was here throughout.
Let me get to speak to some of the workers, then I can hand over to studio. Okay, I have some of the workers here. So, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I just want to know, how do you feel about what happened yesterday?
No
problem.
And now you are you feel no friend say you got a company ho. The suicide. You are hope because I can't I don't even met my character. And this year no, you should them penny on.
So let me go to another person. Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning, madam.
Yeah, how do you feel about what happened yesterday?
It's very, very so sad. We didn't expect to get this problem like this. So we are very, very sad about it.
Very sad about it. Yeah. What has authorities told you so far?
Oh, we get a very, very lot problem. We get to find it very, very difficult. Yes, because we have lost a lot of the heap of money. So it affects the workers a lot.
Do you feel like your job is being threatened?
Oh yeah, because we affect us very, very a lot. Because now look at how the situation is, and something like this happen. So it will be very, very hard for us.
Okay. So moving on to another person. Okay, everybody is shying away from me. Okay. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Do you feel that your job has been threatened?
No.
So how do you feel about what happened yesterday?
Yesterday I was not around.
So you hearing whatever happened yesterday, today, what do you have to say?
Well, actually, the one thing I would just say is that I'm feeling sad, and I would just tell that they should do the
Okay, he's still trying to put his thoughts together. So, Roland, that is that you can see the workers behind me, most of them, or few of them that I spoke to, feel sad about the situation. But authorities are assuring them that there is no, they're very anxious, and authorities are assuring me that there is no cause for alarm. Their job is secured, and they'll be returning to work shortly.
Giving us the latest update of the fire incident that was recorded late yesterday evening at the premises of Ashfoam Company Limited. And she also spoke to Joe Ampim-Dakum, who is a marketing communications manager for that company. Kudos to you. Patricia will get the latest update before we run up discussions on the show. But again, we had been discussing the subject of the vigilante group. They had been given or denied bail by a court in Kumasi. But more importantly, how much of a force are they in the MPP, and whether the party and all that the president says will be taken on board by members of the vigilante group when it comes to showing a lot more consensus and forthrightness as far as their behavior. But do you think the president at the end of the day needs to put his foot down just beyond the rhetorics, if I should say, or his words?
He has no option. He has no option than to do that, because the people of Ghana have given him the mandate to rule this country for the next 4 years. Within this period, they expect that he will create an environment that will guarantee the safety of individuals and their property. So he has no option than to do that. So what I think he should be doing now, basically, is to call all his security couples and tell them that, look, we are in a crisis. In some countries, they would have declared a state of emergency. I'm serious.
No, seriously.
I'm serious.
Seriously.
Look, when you have a situation where you have, look, you know, we don't sit down normally. Just look at the history of all terrorist groups. They don't start by just saying that today we are going to form a terrorist group. It starts this way. And if you don't stop it at one point, you are going to have crisis.
Well, I guess that's why the UN is concerned about.
That's what the UN is concerned, because
just 2 days ago.
Yes, you know, they issued a statement. Even they issued a statement to that effect. And I think that, you see, based on what Sam was saying, look, we have had these challenges, I admit, over the years. But over the years, we have tried as much as possible to make to create an improvement. Indeed, if you look at the transition process of 2017, is the best we've ever had as compared to 2009, as compared to 2001.
And I'm sure we'll see an improvement.
We'll see an improvement of that. So within that context, we least expected that we will be having such a situation where it appears the president has thrown his hands in air in despair. That is the way I see it. I'm worried for him. I'm worried for him because he seems not to have the competence to deal with it. I believe that...
You seem to be milking the issue.
No, I'm not milking the issue.
I'm not milking the issue. He's an elected representative for...
And that is why I'm worried. The fact that people have gone to the ballot box, put their votes, they cast their votes for you, with the hope that, one, you will guarantee their safety, you will ensure that they have all the basic needs that they want, and then one, you see, your first responsibility as a human being is to keep yourself alive. And so if you are
survival.
It's survival. You see, the principle of self-preservation. So if you have a situation where the state in itself cannot even help you to survive, then it becomes a problem. So, I mean, I do not intend talking so much about it.
Because Sampine particularly says that you seem to be milking the issue.
No, I'm not. I am worried. I'm a worried Ghanaian. That's just it. I am a worried Ghanaian. I am not too sure when I will be driving on a street without mentioning the street, because I don't want to, because I'm scared. So I don't want to be driving on a street and somebody just stops me, and then the next moment he tells me that he is either Kandahar boys or his bulldogs or his whatever, and they are doing X, Y, Z. So for me, I will call on the president, I'll call on the security agencies to take control over the situation and ensure that when we wake up in the morning to go about our legitimate business, we shouldn't be scared that a vigilante group will emerge somewhere to create chaos for us. But
we also know the president had been speaking about a directive he's giving to all his government officials not to purchase new vehicles. They should use what they inherited from the Mahama-led administration or the NDC administration and make sure that the basis for which government is undertaking some austerity measures in its finances or expenditure would be adhered to at least for the rest of the financial year before perhaps in the next one government decides to make new purchases. Let's hear him.
I put a ban for the time being on the purchase of any new vehicles for members of this government, no matter how dilapidated are the vehicles that are in our fleet. We're going to have to make do with them. These are difficult times for the Ghanaian people, and we should be seen to be acting and respecting that. At the same time, a policy that has worked so far, which has run into a lot of problems because of the way it has been abused, which is that officials can buy cars, official cars. That policy will no longer work. No official is going to have the opportunity to buy any official car. So that we put an end to it, and we put an end to where are the cars, where are the cars. Nobody is going to have that capacity anymore.
And the president's there, speaking about the directive he's giving for the ban on the purchase of new cars for government officials, as well as even a likely ban on the sale of cars at the end of the tenure of a particular administration. What do you say about the president's inferences to the current policy, Edward?
I think that this is an instruction that has come a little bit too late.
Meaning what?
Meaning that, you see, let's start with the president himself. The last time he was in Kumasi, and he was in the vehicle he was using, the Lexus vehicle he was using, they were brand new vehicles. When they asked, some of his spokespersons said that they were private vehicles he had bought himself, but not by the state didn't buy them. You look at the president's own entourage, and when you look at the motorcade that goes through, all of them are also, most of them are 2017 registered.
Maybe privately bought.
For the presidential entourage.
It could be possible.
Of course. I would not be surprised if they say it's a private man who bought it. You know why? You remember in 2001, when Kufuor decided, His Excellency the President Kufuor decided to renovate his house, they said it was a private farmer who had decided to do it. After a few months, the late Jacob Ejebulam comes to say that no, this thing was charged on the consolidated fund. Suddenly that thing changed from the farmer to the fact that it was charged on the consolidated fund. So I'll not be surprised if today, suddenly after, in 2016, the MPP would suddenly have money. You remember those times when people were talking about they went to China with a cap in hand begging for money? Then suddenly in 2000...
There was a campaign activity to raise funds.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Then suddenly, then you have 2017, they come into power. And then the president has money to buy vehicles, 2017 four wheels, all high spec. And then you think that me as a Ghanaian, I will believe you. You go to some of the ministries, look at some of the ministers, the vehicles they are driving. They are not vehicles that were handed over by the previous government. So they also bought it on them, by themselves. I think that is a good thing, because if you are saying that you don't have even fiscal space to run the economy, you should have at least buying a new car should be the least on your list, because the vehicles that were being used by the previous government, and in fact, if you listen to some of them, their justification, some of them are indicating that they are not too sure whether those vehicles have been bagged or not. They have made those statements. They are not too sure what is the state of the vehicle as to whether their security is guaranteed. All those, they've given flimsy excuses as to why they should purchase new cars. And for the president to make this statement is because he knows that they have been doing it, or they have started doing it, or some of them have already done it. So if he says so, I will only believe him. But let's wait and see the number of 2016 cars we will be having for the ministers and the number of 2017 and 2018 that will come. But for me, I think that the vehicles that were left for them were in good shape. The vehicles that they have confiscated, you know that there's even this story going around. You know, some of these vehicles that they confiscated, quote unquote, seized from NDC guys who, in their description, stole them. You know, those vehicles are resold to their members. Have been given to their members, selling to them at, giveaway prices. They are doing that, and we are aware of them. But if they think that they want to use them, let's hope that they keep to their words. And I believe that as a country, we need to find a way of ensuring that we protect the national press. He indicated that on the 7th of January when he was sworn in. He said he was going to protect that. So far, what we have seen does not suggest that he intends doing it. But let's see. He has he done 100 days? He's done it. Am I right? He's done 100 days.
The president. I think yes.
Yes. So
now
let's 100 out of 400. 4
but today is the 11th, right?
Yeah.
He's done 100 days. He was sworn in on the 7th.
Yeah. So let's.
February had 28 days.
So let's just hope that in the next 4 years, that as we go on, he will find a way of ensuring that he protects the state press. And you see, it is not just by what he says, but even what is done at the ministries. You know, and this I will grant the president that sometimes there are some things that at the ministries and other departments, they do them without the knowledge of the president. But that is where, when you have a very strong chief of staff, he will be able to monitor that. I just hope that Madam, what's her name again?
Frema
Opare would have what it takes to really superintend over those activities. With that, but I think there's a good move, and I support him for that.
At the end of the day, also, there are concerns usually about the way when we're having the transition or perhaps a change of government. Prior to that, officials of a former government try to quickly make allocations to themselves, discount them. Of course, we know what Article 71, office holders, etc., are entitled to and all that.
Look, I think that has been a government policy that has been there over a period of time, where it is not only politicians, but even civil servants, top level, directors and other things, chief directors and other things. When they are going on pension, the vehicle, the saloon vehicle, it's not the four-wheel drives they give to them. It's the saloon cars, because normally the four-wheel is kept for long distances, and then for the the internal movements, they use saloon cars. And so politicians, high-level civil servants and public servants all benefit from these things. If as a country, we think that it is not the way to go, and I think that we should, because over a period of time, it seems to be becoming a norm where it becomes a source of conflict for governments who are leaving and governments who are coming in. I think that basically we should just put because it's a policy, government policy that nobody seems to be excited about, at least apart from the beneficiaries. So I think that we should put an end to it. Government officials should not be given the opportunity to buy their own cars, even if it is in a state, let me say, even if it's in a ramshackle vehicle, they shouldn't. They should auction it if it is time to auction, like any other state vehicle that is being auctioned.
And if an official buys it, fine.
An official buys it, fine. If public officers and civil servants who are also qualified under that arrangement should not buy their vehicles. Because you know something, the other part that I'm also a bit worried about is the fact that sometimes these new vehicles, or when public officers, particularly public servants, they know that they are going on pension, they quickly arrange and buy a new vehicle, saloon vehicle, the one that they will intend going to on pension with, and they do that at the expense of the state. So I believe that we should just put a stop to this. Let's just stop it. Let's just stop it. And it saves everybody this whole problem of who bought what and who didn't buy what. Let's just stop it.
Let's look at the last story before we go. And we know that the Galamsey activities and the the crusade against it has been ongoing for some time. Just yesterday, Secondary High Court ordered the seizure of what they call the water home and other equipment on the Pra River, or the Ankobra River, purportedly built by some Chinese miners, said to be legal for their operations in the riverfront. And we have that story. We'll bring to you that story very soon. And the Chinese are Dong Cheng, who is 30, Han Jiang, who is 51, Ning Gangru, who is 42, Ying Bingjiang, who is 46, and Li Xinglong, who is 44. And we have some Ghanaians as well, Eric Owusu, who is 28, Kwabne J, 50, Nane Du, 42, and Kwesio Owusu, 28, as well as Kofi Dakon, who is 21. Another story.
On Monday, counsel for the accused, Stephen Alewaba, prayed the court to grant bail to the 5 Ghanaian employees of the Chinese firm, stating they are charged of conspiracy and illegal mining are, in his view, not right. He also noted that the accused Chinese miners have proper documentation and are legally resident in Ghana, hence the request to grant them bail. But senior state attorney George Saki also argued that the state had not finished with its investigations into the matter and is holding talks with the Minerals Commission to ascertain whether the miners had authentic mining permits on the river. He argued again that when the accused persons are granted bail, they may have the opportunity to distort evidence that the witnesses in the case may be willing to provide.
You take a look at some of these stories, and now you look at what they have on the waterfront. Well built, almost like a dredging and water treatment, and this one has been built on the river. It's how do we deal with this, knowing that we have the influx of thousands of them in our communities?
You know, the part that surprises me in all these things is a statement that was issued by the Chinese mission in Ghana, where they were in a way threatening government with the fact that we should the pronouncement that are being made by government officials, and particularly the media, that the Chinese government was supporting these things, they should desist or it will affect our relationship. Let's call the spade a spade. When you have people come to your own country, enter into your territorial waters, and put up something like this, yes, you should be worried. And I've always indicated that these things did not just, they didn't just appear and disappear. That sort of thing. These times when there was always this story of a guy who went to write an exam and then went and then he covered the thing. And then when he opened it, the jujuma had told him that he'd just say appear. Then the answers would just appear on the paper. It didn't happen that way. It didn't happen. They came through a particular, what is happening to our ports, whether it is both maritime or even airports or even land. What is happening to it? I just hope that this crusade has started. Indeed, on Friday, members of parliament had the opportunity. It seems it was under the leadership or the collaboration between CTFM and then the Ministry of Information, where they presented a petition. And I mean, MPs were given this into also, as it were, give the endorsement for that particular, and they presented a petition to the House. I know that Mr. Speaker had decided to constitute a committee that will go around and look at those areas to see what we can do also as a House. But I think that the fight that has been initiated, yes, should be sustained. In a country,
can we sustain it? We've done this before. Because I remember, I think over the last year or two, we tried that.
I just pray that fatigue does not set in, particularly with the media. You see, the only way we can have this thing at the front burner for us to really deal with is when the media sustains that campaign. Then there will be pressure on government. I predicted that. You see the way the Lands and Forestry Minister was making. After a month or two, this energy will not be the same. I just hope that...
Have you seen that the energy is dwindling now?
But you can see it yourself. You see that it is coming down.
The Chinese government...
The Chinese government threatening, and you have all those things. But I believe that as a country, we must rise up and fight it. Because in my opinion, if we're not careful, our water, our lands, forest, will have nothing to hand over to our kids.
But I think the jury is out there that many of these migrants or those Chinese who have the capital really and are financing some of these things, whether they have Ghanaian partners or not, are doing this because there are people high up, not necessarily political elite people, but also people high up who give them the mandate to do that, right from the top down to the communities.
I agree with you. Look, politicians are involved in this. Let's not run away from it because this is about our survival.
Let's not be hypocritical.
Yeah, hypocrite. Politicians are there. You have situations where somebody is arrested and a politician calls the police or the immigration to release him because he knows why he's doing that. You have policemen involved. You have what do they call them? Chiefs involved. You have pastors involved. You have all sorts of people. And so, but there was an aspect. There's this gentleman who comes from my constituency, but he lives in Ekotia. He's been in this mining business for over some time now. He called me last week and told me that, look, part of the problem is also with those who always are issued with the large-scale licensing.
That's a concession.
Concessions. They are also part of the problem. Then you know what they do. When they acquire this license or this concession, they use it, go into the capital market and raise money. But when they raise the money, they don't use it actually for
the large scale money.
They take it and invest in another business. And they can't be bothered what happens on that particular concession. And that's where you then have people encroaching on it and making it. And they don't go to even supervise. So I think that the Minerals Commission should also find a way of dealing with such people because it's beginning to be a problem. And for me, I just hope that the collaborative effect of politicians, media, traditional leaders, the security agencies, and in fact, the help of even foreign, missions in Ghana, we should all collaborate to ensure that we stop this. Because I was told that in one of the cities in China, the activities in Ghana constitute about 20% of their GDP.
Well, that's why we have the mayor coming to town.
Yeah. So, I think that we all now know what the effects are.
Well, no, we're told that the bulk of the Chinese in Ghana, I think the majority of them come from a certain province in China.
They come from a province in China.
And they had their mayor seek an audience with, is it the president?
The president, yes. Yeah. So they do that. And that's what I'm saying, that let's not be cowed down by statements from the Chinese mission. Let's not also be influenced by what threats they will give us in terms of resources. And I just hope and pray that Honorable Peter Amewu, who is my friend, would try as much as possible to ensure that he walks the talk.
Where do we take the fight from in the communities? Because at the end of the day, the argument has been that this is a venture that also keeps livelihoods perhaps surviving in a way.
You see, the exploitation of resources, natural resources, can be done in a very sustainable manner. The current practice is never sustainable. And that's what we should stop. It is not about the livelihood. I am all for it. The fact that people are engaging, but it must be done in a sustainable manner. And the only way we can do this is to ensure that we abide by all the regulations that govern that. The EPA must see how they do it, a Minerals Commission, and whoever is supposed to supervise the activities of mining companies must do it. That's all.
And it's not only down south that we have some of these activities, because the police are currently, apparently, trying to ascertain the circumstances under which 6 miners died in a mine at Gbane in the Talensi district of the Upper East region. The miners are said to have died after suspiciously inhaling toxic fumes from a blast while underground. Let's get the latest from our correspondent in the Upper West region, Albert Sorry. Albert Sorry is in the Upper East region. Albert Sorry, a good morning to you. What's the latest on the incident that happened, resulting in the death of the miners?
Roland, so yesterday the police met with some of the local miners from the area where the incident happened, together with the managers of a mine where we have some Chinese people who we are told are providing technical services to a local miner with a legal concession. Now, this mine is called the Shanxi Mining Company. So yesterday, the police invited them and the local people to hear them out because the local miners said that the blast happened because the Chinese carried out a blast on their concession without probably taking some precautions, and that led to the smoke coming from their end into the underground mine where these local people were working. The impression that is being created is that the place is a very large area where a lot of people do their work. Now, we are getting the sense that these miners who died may have been doing their work illegally, and so these Chinese miners probably didn't know that they were there. So it's their word against what the Chinese mine is also saying, and they said that this is not the first time an incident like this has happened. We understand that a previous case had been reported to the police because some miners died under similar circumstances. And again, the accusation was that the Chinese usually would blast on their end without warning, the local miners that they were carrying out such blasts for them to leave the underground pits and all of that. So in the previous case, what happened was that the police directed that anytime they are carrying out a blast, they should, inform everyone that such blasts were going to take place. And so the Shanxi Mining Company is arguing that they have told the local people that because some of them do their work underground without them knowing, they have given them times of the day where they carry out their blasts. So the locals are supposed to be aware that at certain times of the day, they carry out such blasts. Besides, they didn't know that there were even people there and that an accident had happened until after they had died. But on their end of, the mine, no accidents occurred. Their mining works went on throughout last week, and they didn't record any accidents. All their workers are safe. And so the police has been hearing them out and trying to, tie the two stories together. And so to continue the investigation later today. Okay. Yesterday, we spoke to the Upper East Regional Police Commander after he held this meeting. And he said that now that they have heard the two people, they will have to get to the ground and do their own investigations to find out whether at the time that the incident occurred, there had been any blast from the Chinese end.
But Albert,
yes.
what do they mine there? Is it gold?
Gold. Yes, gold. Yes.
Okay. We have Edward Bawa here. He's a member of parliament for Bongo, and I would want him to have a bite on the subject. Very sorry state of if we don't have proper supervision and regulation at the mines in the Talensi area.
I think the first and foremost, let me because that is my region. Even though I'm not a direct MP there, the MP there is BT Baba, Honorable BT Baba.
Okay.
He is the MP for that area. But let me extend my condolences to the bereaved families. I think that this is a very serious issue. And the regional minister, who is the head of the regional security council, must take serious interest in this. I know the regional minister to be a man of action. I've known him for over a period of time, Honorable Roxanne Bukari. And I think that he should be interested in this case. Because it's true that this is not the first time it has happened. I think a year or two ago, we recorded a situation like that again. And human lives should not be allowed to just waste in this manner. I'm wondering, what is the information that is always sent to the people to say that, look, we are going to blast this? Because you need to take all those precautionary measures before you blast. Particularly when you have people who could Beyond just, of course, they said these people were also involved in their activities, which in itself was illegal, according to what the guy is saying. But you have a situation where you could have even people just roaming around there, because that's all part of their area, that they could be roaming around maybe for farming activities or what have you. And you can have situations like that. I think that they should not allow this. People must definitely pay for this. And until they do that, I'm sure that they would have been treating the people of the Talensi unfairly.
Albert, do we have an influx of Chinese miners in the area, or Chinese citizens who are undertaking small-scale mining in those communities? Okay. Okay, so we seem to have lost our...
And you see, but there's another aspect about this thing that I need to tell you. And these things, they don't only happen, even though it's in Talensi. You have all the districts in Upper East suffering from this, and I'll tell you why. We have kids who are supposed to be in school between the ages of, say...
Yeah, you can see them, they're children.
The ages of, say, maybe 14 to 18. They abandon school and go there. So that is also yet another thing that we need to look at. These companies, who are the people they are hiring? It's something we need to be talking about. And I think that I will definitely, on the basis of this, have a conversation around this with my other colleagues from the region in terms of MPs. And let's see what we can also do in a small way within our own region. Because, look, beyond just this, kids are wasting out. They are not being attended to. Some just go to that place and they stop schooling. And within a twinkle of an eye, they come back. Maybe they have a few cedis to buy motorbikes. Others who are now in school also leave and join them. And suddenly it's beginning to become a problem. And until we address that, we'll have the same problem that we are having currently in the southern part of Ghana.
Well, thank you very much. And Edward Bawa is a member of parliament for Bongo. And he was supposed to have been joined by a member of parliament for Nsawama Dwejiri, that's Frank Anodompre. He had an emergency, so couldn't come.
Yeah, you know, Anodompre handed over to me as a next president,
okay.
National next president. So I expected to see him here, but he didn't come, so I'll forgive him. I won't say anything.
Please do forgive him. Okay, so that's it for our discussions this morning, but let's move on to a lot more issues. Registration for national service personnel already started, and already there are some fraudulent activities going on. Joy News has learned that some persons have taken to extorting sums of monies from prospective national service personnel with the assurance of getting them postings to their regions or destinations of choice. And Deputy Executive Director of the scheme, Nanabi or Henry Nanabuache, is joining us on the line. Good morning to you, Henry.
Good morning, my brother.
Oh, okay.
Roland, it's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while, sir.
You've not been checking up on your brother.
I came to your office, I didn't meet you. I don't know whether your secretary told you.
Oh, that's so bad.
Right. And in the first place, is it true that some of these things are going on? Because we seem to have some evidence showing.
Oh, yes, it is. And then also good morning to Edward Bawa, my friend. Yes, we usually, it is a perennial issue, but then it's time we need to nip this in the bud. What happens is that immediately the PIN codes are out, then people take to social media, be it WhatsApp, be it Facebook, and what they do is that they put up statements to the effect that they can affect postings of preferences of anybody at all. So, for instance, if you are an Abuache and then I contact such a number and then I tell the person I want this region, I want this company, the person can affect such postings for you. Now, what they do is that they also put up a certain number and then they say you need to put in certain amount of money. That is via mobile money. And that is, we're talking about some 350 Ghana cedis, we're talking about some 500 Ghana cedis, we're talking about some 600, and even up to 1,000 Ghana cedis. So what we are doing now is that we have reported the matter to the Ghana police, and Ghana police is doing a thorough investigation on this. Now, this is a criminal and a fraudulent activity. We are also cautioning prospective national service personnel to not to pay such monies to anybody, not to be lured into such demands by anybody at all. The National Service Scheme, the management by law, has the sole mandate of deployment and postings.
So how grand is this scheme? Because we know that you've just been appointed. You came to meet these underhand dealings by personnel of the scheme or the service. How do you intend dealing with it, and how grand is it?
No, Roland. I mean, it's a perennial thing. It's something that has been going on, right? From our discussions with those we came to meet at the scheme, and then even some people and some students, some national service personnel, they've confided in us. And indeed, some people also came to us telling us that, yes, indeed, some people have taken these amount of monies from them and then promising them national service postings.
Well,
so it's something that is really going on, and we think it is time for us to nip it in the bud. And there has been very favorable collaboration between us and then the security agencies. And then we have to make sure we nip this in the bud.
Are you also bringing in the BNI?
Extorting these monies from people.
Are you also going to bring in the BNI, etc.?
Yes, of course. As I said, we've reported to the security agencies, and then they are working on it. In fact, I really cannot put a lot of details on this out, but what I can boldly say is that we are chasing after these people. And fortunately, what they do is that when they put out a number, and they say, don't call, WhatsApp only. And then they only give you a certain number for you to push your money through. Right? So we are investigating. We've started it, and we are doing it. And I know it's a syndicate. It's a whole big thing. You are just asking. It's a syndicate, a whole big thing, nationwide. And we've had not one, not two, not three. We've had several messages from various regions indicating that this is going on.
Well,
and that is the more reason why we have to put this statement out and then cautioning people, especially prospective national service personnel, not to be lured into paying these monies by these people, and then also telling those who are behind it that we are going to chase them and we are going to unravel this criminal activity.
Well, thank you very much. Henry Nanabuache. Nanabi is a Deputy Executive Director for the National Service Scheme. And that'll be it, Eddie. And thanks also for helping us this morning as well.
Thanks for having me. I think that Nanabi and then his immediate boss, Mustafa, I've known the two of them very well. I know that they are young guys with fresh blood. They should be able to really deal with some of these things because, you know, it happened. It started this that scandal that came with the national service.
Yes, it was first uncovered
by
course, following the news report, but also dealt with well by the executive.
Yes, and I think that they should continue with that. There were some reforms that Professor White introduced. I think they can do that, and I have confidence in Nanabi and then Mustafa to be able to deal with these things.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And well, let's look at this as Eddie Harris have to go to his usual business. He's on recess, so he's free to go.